So this is effectively in file numbers. This is lecture 11. So one more time, one more time, that your mid exams are almost, as I said, 50 to 60% they have been, graded, and rest of them I'm trying to grade them by tonight or by tomorrow, and you'll get your result of mid exam, and as well as other things which are remaining. I'm hoping that you will get soon all results. So let's start our today's class and talk about few fun things. So recap, or maybe previously what we have done, we have covered most of the basic and bit advanced level of object-oriented programming in C#. Let me assure you one thing, as I'm saying continuously, whatever we have studied from basic to bit advanced level, when we say basic, we are talking about all those object-oriented concepts that come at the inception of object-oriented technology, likes of classes, likes of objects, likes of properties, likes of the object-oriented concepts of encapsulation, of inheritance, of all that part. So basically, when we say that basic part was that, and then we have talked about a bit advanced level of few things, including our delegates, including maybe interfaces, maybe abstract classes and static components and things like that. So we have covered a mix of the object-oriented level. So as I said, this is the right time to use that knowledge that we have gained to make something really catchy for our eyes, something really important for our eyes. So we are now familiar with most of the important concepts like polymorphism, inheritance. We have talked about different strategies of inheritance. Encapsulation, we have talked about delegates, interfaces, abstract classes, and whatnot and whatnot and whatnot. There are lots of things that we have discussed till now. Now we'll just see what we have to do from now onward. Now today, or maybe from today, it should be not today, from today. But until now, we have been working in console-based programs. So you should be bored enough now. So again, we have been working in console-based applications where you need to work a lot to even show that black screen where everything is going on. So again, lots of effort being done, and then you are able to only see the black screen going on, and you're just looking at that code and things like that. So today, what we are so you have seen much more than that of console application that we have done. Let's add spice to our C# skills. WPF. So from today, we are starting to talk about WPF, and we'll talk about what is WPF and what it will do. It will mostly talk about WPF and give colorful life to our C# skills. So whatever we have learned in C#, as I said, all those basics or maybe advanced or these concepts that we have learned, most of the time when students are learning these concepts the first time, they think that why in the world we are studying this encapsulation, things like that, and having those again, as I said, the console-based applications, things like that. So anyhow, now we'll see from today, we'll talk about WPF and we'll give colorful life to our C# skills that we have learned. So you need to have like polished skills that we have gained during the course of period of the time in our previous weeks, and we want to give colors to them. All right. So WPF will help us in that. Right. So WPF, let's start. It's an interesting concept, and let's talk about it. Windows Presentation Foundation. It's basically a presentation layer platform, and it helps us to integrate the core concepts of object orientation maybe, or C# in general, into some of the environments which will give us a very good sense of making a user interface, a presentational concept. As I have been continuously saying since the beginning of session today, that WPF will enable us to make a presentation layer for our programs. Not only the presentation layer, WPF will help us to integrate the presentational layer which we are going to create with the as I said, the core programming constructs that we have learned so far. So it's a presentation layer sort of something which will help us in doing that. So absolutely huge programming surface area. So we will get a huge programming surface area. We'll try to scaffold on each of the area, but hopefully until where we can go, I've tried to create this today's session in a way that it will give you a very good introduction of some of the concepts. So 2D and 3D rendering we can do in this WPF. We can use scalable vector graphics. Here I have a question. Can anyone tell me how many types of graphics are there? And one of them is vector graphics. What are the other form? What is the other form of graphics? Because this is a question that being a being someone related to IT should know, related to computer sciences should know that what are the different types of to do on a very basic level, on a very contemporary level, what are the different types of graphics and how do we differentiate vector graphics from the others? Can anyone come up with an answer? What is vector graphics, or what is the other type of graphics that we relate or that we talk about when we talk about the vector graphics? All right, so silence means either people are not there, or maybe they are thinking, or maybe they are typing. And okay, that's a very good answer. These are very good answers. Like, again, it shows that there are live people on the other side of my computer, right? Okay, thank you very much for all those who have replied IDK. The IDK is a very nice answer, it always gives you a sense of being human. Otherwise, if you are not getting any response, looks like a fool is sitting in front of 2 or 3 screens and just talking to some walls or maybe screens, and screens are not replying anything at all. Anyhow, thank you very much for mentioning that. Anyone other than these 3 people, if someone else is also wake up, or everyone else is also sleeping after logging in Zoom? Because this is the new normal, that log into Zoom and just sleep in with beside your laptop, right? Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. Oh, I'm successfully able to wake up few people. I'm sorry to wake you up to disturb you during the sleep, but anyhow, yes, there are lots of people who are replying. Okay, thank you very much. So let's talk about something, vector graphics. Vector graphics is one of the type, and there is, let's talk about first of all vector graphics in general. The graphics in the forms of lines. Let me talk about lines or mathematical calculations. Lines or mathematical calculations. These are scalable vector graphics, so to speak. Let me just bring up those definitions, because this is important and you people should know about that. Okay, so if you see that vector graphics are they are computer graphics images that are defined in terms of points or Cartesian plane, which are connected by lines, curves, form polygons. So it's something very interesting. So vector graphics are created on the basis of lines. They do not destroy. The other type, as I was asking, is called bitmap graphics. All right. So if I can just mention it over here, the other type is bitmap. And what is bitmap? Bitmap are in form of pixels. So remember, vector graphics are in lines or mathematical calculations or Cartesian product that we talk about. And what they do is that they are, when you just get into them, like you start zooming into these things, they will not destroy. By the time you reach to a very small point, you will be still able to see something. And even if you are just lost in this black color, even then you won't see anything like this. If you see at the bottom, that the bottom view shows the bitmap graphics of 7-time magnification. So when you magnify this 7 times in a bitmap, you will see something like this pixelate form, a pixelate form which is being destroyed. So remember two things. We have primarily contemporary level, we have two types of graphics. One of them is called vector, one of them is called bitmap. Bitmap is basically based on our pixels format, pixelate format, and we have pixel format, and there are pixels that usually destroyed. And the basically what happens is that the vector graphics, they do not destroy by the end of like when you start zooming into it. I hope that makes sense to everyone. Okay, I'm back. I'm sorry about that. Right. So let me just share my screen back. I had to just call some meetings, and I just completely forgot, and I had to just mention that. Anyhow, so are you people able to see my screen now? Yes. Are you people able to see my screen again with that same graphics that was there? Yes. Okay. Thank you very much. So I hope now you understand the concept that these are the two types of graphics: vector graphics and bitmap graphics. Bitmap graphics, which are in forms of pixels, distorts, like they are destroyed when you just zoom into it, start zooming into it. But the vector graphics, scalable vector graphics, they are never destroyed. Rather, sometimes you just get lost into the color when you just start getting zoom into it. You will be lost in a color at some point of time. But again, overall, that basically are never destroyed. Anyhow, so then we have traditional UI controls such as buttons and text box. This is very important. If someone has worked before in Visual Basic or any other language, they know that like buttons and text boxes, they are really a very good help. And we will see shortly today that after just a few clicks, you will be able to make quite a working application, and that really will be a fine thing. So animation, it provides us animation facilities. It provides automatic binding of data sources. That's another very, very important feature of WPF that it provides us, that we can bind the data sources with our controls, with our components on the screen, right? So there are lots of things. Hardware integrated, it provides us a very good hardware integration. If you want to work on hardware integration, it has a richer UI, faster UI, and it's powered by the XAML. I'll talk about the XAML and everything, and most of the things will be coming during the discussion. Okay, so now what I want you people is that open your Visual Studio now, and right, and create a new project for, by the way. Okay, let me show you over here. So create a new project over here. And now what we have to do is that if you select Windows from this portion, like this one, you will find over there that there is something, there is a project, or there is a type of project which is called WPF application. Do you see, everyone see that? WPF application. You select that one, right? And then press a next. You can name it whatever. I usually call the week number, week 8. This is C# right? So let's create this application. This is a WPF application, by the way. And next, and this long-term support. Yes, I need this one, .NET Core, and create an application. We'll be demoing it first, and we'll just look at the few things together, and then I'll guide you that how you will be just working on the rest of the thing. So why I'm doing that? Because in the next slide, I've said I've done that, create new application, demoing WPF application, right? Okay. So how many of you see, just hold on a minute. How many of you see a screen like myself, like again, it's waiting for IntelliSense to finish installing, no problems. But you should be shortly seeing something interesting, some interesting things. are you people able to see the same screen like mine? I have placed a dash line in chat window so that I can understand that now people are, whatever you are saying is a new chat, by the way. Yes, how many of you are able to see the same screen like mine? Like, again, a new project. Monarch, thank you. Thank you for letting me know. That's good. There are two, like 3-4 people. I like there are lots of people who are able to see that. Excellent. That's excellent. Now, that's good. So I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Roughly 6 to 7 people have responded. Then 8, 9. That's excellent. So now we have got a new application over here, brand new application, and it's very different from what we are usually used to have seen. That was quite a boring screen, or maybe that was quite something that more a code-like environment. But here we can see something like a working area. Interesting, looks interesting to us that this is a sort of a working area that we have. Then we have a different solution structure as well. We'll talk about that as well in details. I'll just talk about each and every component of it maybe. And so first of all, if you see the first and foremost important thing, so we have created a new application like this. I've given this in the slide so that if someone is creating, so you get this screen, something like of this screen, right? Everyone can see this screen, and you know that there are a few areas that are coming. So two things to notice is main windows.xaml and main windows.xaml.cs. This is very important. If you see at the top corner of your screen, you will find there is one document which is open right now, is main window.xaml, XAML. We'll talk about XAML shortly. And there is another window which is called main window.xaml.cs. So when you see a CS, of course, you understand this is a C# code that would be coming over here. We don't know. It looks like very odd sort of code, but we'll talk about that. But first of all, let's come back to this main window. So again, I will be going step by step. If someone gets stuck somewhere, they are not able to see something, they just let me know, and I'll be just guiding them then and there. So if you see here that these are the two main windows that we have in a WPF application, and they are very important. If you come to your design, like main window.xaml, you see over here also you can see that there are two parts like screen. If I just close this output area for a minute, so you see that we have two parts of this screen. Even in the main window.xaml, we have two parts of our screen. One of them is called the design part, which is active right now. One of them is called the XAML part, like the code part, which is at the bottom. You see at the bottom. Now the best things first. Do you see a button in between that, swap panes? If you just click on that, you will be upside down. And what does that mean? Now our XAML code has come to the top and our design part has gone to the bottom. Is that right? Usually it is in this format, but what we can do, we can just do that as well, that we will just take our XAML part to the top. Sometimes we'll talk about XAML, and if you are working in XAML, I'll just take it to the top, and then I'll start doing something into it. And so best things first. So we have got these two things inside windows.xaml. Now, what is this main window.xaml? This main windows.xaml is the area where I will be, one way or other designing my application. Does that make sense? I would design my application into this area. And by designing, I mean that I might be designing directly in this form-like area where I'll be just creating or dragging and dropping the controls on the screen. Or maybe I will be working on the XAML code. This is called XAML code, XAML code. Right now, it should look very much alien to you. It should look a bit very odd sort of code. Looks like we are not getting what is going on over here. But let me just tell you a few things. If you see, there is something. How many of you are familiar with XML? I'm talking about XML. Like, the if I ask a question and I write it over here. How many of you about XML? I'm not talking about XAML. I'm talking about XML. If you do not know, I would love to have your response of IDK, XML. Okay. Thank you very much. It means you people at least care for my. Okay. That's good, Baldeep. You should know. You must know. Abhinav said little bit, little bit. Okay. Some say I don't know. Manpreet says yes. Manpreet, you know about the XML. That's excellent. Anyone else over here? Okay. So that's okay. Mean says little bit, the bird says. Okay, that's excellent. Now listen about that. Thank you very much for. Okay, Akriti, you also know about that. That's very much interesting. This XAML, this has come from it's somewhere like related to or somewhere basically resembling to this XML. There is only a in between, but anyhow, we'll talk about XML first. So XML was a language or is a language still. Some places we'll find its implementation, even though most of the places XML has been where it was used. So there were different purpose of XML. Okay, those who have said yes, can anyone give me first definition of XML? Those people who have said yes. I'm not talking to those who said little bit, because I'm just talking to those who said yes, they have good understanding of that. Can any one of you give me a definition of XML? What is XML language all about? What was XML or what is XML? Yeah. Who would come up with the answer? Okay, extensible markup language used to transfer data. Okay. Okay, Manpreet says that extensible markup language used to transfer data. Extensible markup language, enough. That's good. Any other definition than Manpreet's one? Like Manpreet says, extensible markup language used to transfer data. So let's talk about that. When XML was first introduced, it was said that we have created a language where there are no predefined tags. Now, what is a tag? We must know what is a tag. I hope that you people know about the tags, just for a reference, because this all will be needed too much over here. So there is something called a tag, and you all are very much familiar with this. If I say B and B, this is called a tag in HTML. Usually we are talking about this is an HTML tag, or maybe there are certain other tags like title or something, and we use them. Yes, plural tags or a singular tag, that's a different story. Abhinav, right now we are talking about the tags. So HTML, predominantly HTML had predefined tags. B is a predefined tag. Title is a predefined tag in HTML. So when XML was first introduced, it was said that XML, we have got a way of defining own tags. What does that mean by defining own tags? Own tags means that I can I have a tag, for example, English, right? Whatever, English, which is not a tag in HTML. So I can create an English tag. I can create my own names tag, whatever. So XML gave us this facility to create our own tags. Someone can say I want to create a language called chemistry, so I'll make a tag with the name of CHE, for example, chemistry. So this is my tag, and I'll define my own language. So XML first introduced the concept of defining own tags. Does that make sense to everyone? In the very beginning, at the inception of XML, it was meant for defining our own tags. But then, as someone said, it usually and from the beginning, it started to act like a data transfer method. Data transfer. When we have to transfer data from one part to the other or somewhere, we used XML as one of the medium for transferring of data. But this is something you should know. You should all know, because you are as I said, you are the programming students. But now that XML's data transfer capability is more overridden by or taken over by, if you people know about that, JSON. I won't go into the details of it, but I would like you people to at least know this. Now a more standard form of transferring of data like is JSON, and JSON has taken over from XML, which used to be a data transfer language at one time. And what was XML? As someone has mentioned in the last, I think second, third last comment, extensible markup language. So you can extend its codes. You can make your own tags, and you can give those tags a typical meaning, and then those meanings will be understood by the browser, because XML was standardized by W3C, or the organizations who are responsible for defining that one. Right. So XML has, again, be it a predefined one or be it my own, has this tag, uh, uh, tag interpretation or tag implementation into it. Let me just show you something interesting. So if you see here, if I show you something interesting, you see that I can find one important thing. If I just close it over here, just for any reason, I say this window is one tag which is used over here. And if you see, window is closing at the bottom as well. I have that pen, that's why I cannot do that. I can see this, there is something called a window tag over here. I can see something called a grid tag over here. You people will be able to see that grid as well. So now if I just scroll down in this one, you see that window is closing as well. So tag is basically always, it is opened and closed. You know that whenever tag, we just give the name, it starts up, and when we give the this one /, it ends up, it's end the tag. So if you see that one tag that we find is the window one. So it means this XAML is showing us or telling us that I am creating a window tag that has a literal meaning. And by the way, if you can see, this window tag is basically, for us, it is creating this window part. Make sense for everyone? Window tag. Then we have something called a grid tag, and we'll talk about that in detail today. So grid tag is another tag that it has created, and it says that there is a tag called grid, and you see it is starting and ending. So as Abhinav said, these are called plural tags, or the tags which require a companion to complete their functionality. They are called plural tags, like, you know, when there is a starting tag and ending tag. So there is a grid tag as well. You people see that? So just leave everything out for the time being and talk about that. We have got a window tag, and we have got a let me just show you. We have got a, okay, I'll have to just, this is very annoying. I always need to. So if you see, and if you feel, I'll talk about, okay, I'll just show you that as well. Right now there is a slide maybe that I have put in. So in main window.xaml, we have got two parts. It has one part as .xaml by itself, and as I said that it has a design part and it has a code part. So the code part that is over here is basically, the code part over here is basically the XAML part in our this program, and this is called the design part of it. And in the in the code part, we are able to clarify or identify there are two basic tags used, a window tag and a grid tag that we have. Right, for the timing, if you are just keeping that in mind, that would be enough, and then I'll let you know that what we have to do further. So if I come here, these are the two files. Okay, so which one is the second file? This is very important. The second file is the core logic running behind our design form. So this form will be in front of user, and our core logic will be running somewhere here. We don't know what is going on over here, and I have not talked about partial class as well. We'll talk about partial classes as well, but right now just consider .cs is the main C# code that we will write, and here we'll be just placing certain controls, certain things on that, and by like again, so the behind logic that will be running inside that main window.cs, XAML.cs. Does that make sense to everyone? So again, this will be our brain logic, our business logic over here, the code that will run on specific things, and this will be our view logic, like view area, presentation area, that will give us the facility to draw something, to make something, to make forms, and then run those forms, like that, run some code behind that form. Make sense to everyone? These are the two files to start with. Okay, Monak, thank you. Now let's move forward. see here, there is Solution Explorer. As I said, Solution Explorer is also different over here. If I take again back my pen, so if you see, Solution Explorer has certain things, dependencies. First of all, you remember system.io, or mean to say grid tags would define body of our code logic. Oh, not really, Abhinav, not really. This is not the situation. Because what I understand is you are thinking that maybe this grid is important for just putting everything. So no, this grid is one of the component that we can use to align or put our elements under that one. But there can be, we can just leave out this grid and we can just place anything at all. One way or other, we can just leave out this grid and we can use some other parts as well. So yes, right now, whatever we'll place inside this grid will be displayed on our screen. But this grid is not something which is mandatory for our XAML code. You know what I mean? I will tell you that there are certain other options as well that we have to use. But right now, if you say that yes, our design, whatever design we'll be doing over here, will be going inside this grid for the time being. For the time being, it will be going inside that. But I'll tell you that there are different things, and I'll tell you today that we'll be doing. So dependencies, all those dependencies that you want to work with, like the system logic, system input output, and things like that. So that all come in dependencies. App.XAML, this is another very important part of it. This is just like a configuration file. Let me just show you that. App.XAML. If I double click on it, you see it shows the application. It's sort of a configuration sort of file that is telling few things. So you see here also that there is a tag, application tag, and this application tag, if you just mention or just focus on one thing, startup URI. What I want to start when my application runs, it says main window.xaml. Main window.xaml means this main window I want to run whenever my code is run. You know what I mean? So app.xaml is just like a configuration file that will tell compiler when it will be executing what to execute. So for example, what to start from where to start our application. Not only that, yes, starting point you can call it. And not only that, it will be just telling us the resources as well. So we'll be using a lots of resources in our application. So globally, on the global level, this application will be keeping that track of those resources that we'll be defining in our application. So all in all, what you can say, this application file or app.xaml is like the brain of our program, which tells what to run. For example, if I take out this main window.xaml and I write something else, it will run that typical XAML file over here. So starting point, yes, you're right in one way or other. One thing to note over here, I won't open that up. It also does have a let's open it. It also does have a CS part. It means we can work on the configurations code as well, not only in the XAML, but also we can work in the CS part of our application, like application app.xaml. I don't want to right now, maybe just discuss that. I'll discuss that, and some point of time we'll need that as well. But right now, just consider that app.xaml is something which is basically just like the starting point, which will tell us where to start our application, and it tells us the resources that we have. Then we have assembly info.cs. It's also just like a for assembling of the program, it will be telling which directories to use, which locations to use, what are the source assembly and things like that. So this is all assembly information that we might come across when we are just trying to set something for the assemblies of the application. Here comes the last part, which is something that we have been talking about. And this main.xaml, we have seen that this is main.xaml, and if I open it up, it has that CSS. Again, we are talking about this CSS part. So these are the so to start with, right now we'll be mostly concerned with main.window and main.windows.xaml, xaml.cs, right? So we'll be just talking about these two things for the time being, and then we'll see that what is going on, what is happening. Now, if you come here, so these are the few things that we have. If you just come ahead now, toolbox, which I have not shown you, toolbox. So if you see, you might find it over here. Are you people able to see a toolbox in your left, this docked panel? If you see here, if you open it up, and I can just pin it over here, this is a toolbox this is called a toolbox. If you are unable to see this toolbox, is everyone able to see that toolbox? If you are unable to see, you'll go in view and you see that toolbox is over here, Control Alt X. Okay, that's good. That's excellent. Most of the people are able to see that. This is a very interesting. This is our toolbox, and this is something that will help us a lot to create something. Right? Just to start working on it, click on the button, and any part of the screen, just go and drag this button, create this button, and you can just place it anywhere where you want. So what I've done, I've just select on the button and I've created a button over here. You can drag and drop it over here like that. I can just do that like that. So you can just do that as well. So whatever you want, you have to just, I have just created one button. I've just made its height and width a bit different, and we can work on lots of things. Now, as I add this button, do you see something change in my XAML as well? So what is changed in my XAML? If you see XAML has a button code now. Interesting. It has a button code which has some properties set to it. By some properties, I mean that it has few things over here, and I'll let you know each and everything. This is very, very interesting. So button has some attributes. These are called attributes. So I hope those people, if you are not familiar, I'll just give you a quick sense of that as well. I discussed tags, and you remember we said that this B is a tag, bold, to making text bold and things like that. There is something called attributes. What is that attributes? Attributes are the features of the tags. For example, if there is a tag, let me just take, for example, a div tag, div class equal to whatever. So what I am doing, that this div is a tag, and if inside tag you write something and give it a value, this is called attribute. Make sense to everyone? Attribute is basically what? Which gives extra features, which gives the part of that which gives this extra feature or extra functionalities to basically you know, the tags it gives. Yes, class is an attribute name. You can have a lots of attributes over here with the div and all those things. You can have an ID something. You can have ID is equal to maybe whatever, or what, W, whatever. So you can, yes, attribute class is class is the name of the attribute, and whatever is the value of the attribute. Enough? You got the point? So when we say like that, so now I have defined two attributes with this div, ID and class. So ID has a value of W, and class is equal to whatever is the value, whatever is the attribute. Yes, you are right. You are right. So this is called attribute, and this is called its value. Understood, Abhinav? And I hope, because this is the same thing that we are discussing right now, so you'll know that. So you see here, when I have added a button in that in my like, you know, design, code has also changed. So code has added a button to it. You see, everyone can see that button has been added to my design window, and also it is added to my XAML. Okay. Okay. So now let's see. There are few interesting attributes alongside, but let's talk about first of them, content. So if I come to this content and I come here, maybe in all caps, I write click me. So do you people see what has happened? In my design part, my button is showing now click me, right? So now this button, the content part of this button is basically what? So again, summary, we were talking about this toolbox. Now this toolbox is a very important, as its name suggests, that it will just give us all those facility to use those tools to design something on our screen and to show something on and to work on that. But as we add something in our code, as we add something on our design part, we see that is also added to the XAML, and this XAML is running side by side, just showing us all those features over here that I'll tell you what are those features and how you can just work on them. These all features are very interesting and workable. Everyone understand that? So we had to discuss toolbox. So toolbox, everyone understand? If you want to open this toolbox, what you'll do, you go to view and click on toolbox. You will find that toolbox is over there. So you have dragged, as I said, drag and drop a button. We have dragged and drop a button and we see the button over here. And I have told you that one of the attribute, which is content, if you change that that attribute of content, you will see the text on that. So if I change the content, you will see the code on that one. Now we have been talking about XAML. So let's talk about XAML. So XAML, the full form of XAML is Extensible Application Markup Language. So it's only an A has been added and it says Application Markup Language. It's a subset of XML. So as I said, what is XML? We have talked about XML was a first language that said that you can have your own tags. But of course, here in this XML, we are using the predefined tags. It is just giving us when I'm adding buttons. So it is giving the button tag. It has a grid by default. It has a window by default. So it's not giving sort of that that functionality that I talked about. But again, this is a subset of XML. It's a declarative style of programming, and declarative style of programming means just to declare something, to draw something, and let compiler decide what has to do. So for example, you see when I have just given this button, it says this is a button, and there are certain features, attributes attached to it, and rest is on the compiler, on the executor, that how to just run that. We don't want to tell them what is going on and how we will be just working on that one, right? So this is basically, so XAML is basically a declarative style of programming. There are no line by line execution. Rather, we just declare something like that, and it is basically available to that one. Like tags, in the form of tag, we are just defining that one. Right? So far, so good. Everyone understanding that? So now, if you talk about, consider XAML code. So if you see that I've talked about that, the XAML code has the window something. I told you that window is something. You should try to understand that window will be something that is creating this window for us. Which window we are talking about? This window, right? And secondly, if you say there is a grid something, I told you, someone asked a question. This grid is one of the way of organizing the data on our form, on our application, on our design area. We can have multiple other types as well, and whatnot and whatnot. So there are, right now we have just these three things. Run your application, realize we have done a wonderful job. Not right. So let's run this program. Now we are saved from that black screen. Let's see what comes up as the output of this program. Interesting. We have got a form running. Everyone can see this form. Let me just remove this drawing. So now if you see here, that very interestingly, we are getting a form and it has a button on it which says click me, which is not doing anything. But now, okay, so it means now we have got this power of just dragging and dropping something and getting a very beautiful area where I can just interact with my form, with my application. So we have come out of this dark age of using those black screen and optioning, selecting, doing some things like that. Now we have got a very wonderful world of this view I. What you see is what you get. You would have heard this term a lots of time. I have told you that as well. So that sorry, you remember, this is a term that is usually used. So this is that what you see is what you get. So again, so there is a form over here. There is a viewing area which you can just interact with, and it's a very interesting area which has a lots of features associated with it, and it can be. So it can be basically this is basically our window application. There is a one feature that this button is not moving from this point. Anyhow, we'll talk about that. But right now, if you see that there are this window is all stretchable. We can just make it big. We can make it small and things like that. We can do lots of things with this window, by the way, right? So now it means that now we have got a very interesting world of our program that we can run, and we can just see these sort of things, right? Everyone is getting that? So we have run the program and we have done a wonderful job. And why we have done a wonderful job? We are able to see something on the screen. right? And this screen is basically running this main window.xaml, and you remember how it is running. If you see in app.xaml, startup URI is telling us to run windows.xaml, and this windows.xaml is getting loaded, and we are seeing the output. How many of you are able to see the output? You can write an M, me, whatever. So are you able to see the output like this as I have seen? Okay, that's good, Rashmi. Thank you for letting me know. That's good, Vinny. Okay, that's good, excellent. I want others to jump in as well, because I want everyone to be with me. Deep, thank you, Deep. So now is it something interesting that we have started? Because before that we were just looking at those black screens and trying to come up with the solutions and trying to do that. Here, as I said, now we'll just scaffold on that, and we'll just try to build up on these applications, and we'll implement all those concepts we have learned in object oriented world, and then we will just talk about those concepts over here. Akriti, thank you. That's good to know that you are having those understanding. Okay, app.xaml, I've talked about that. App.xaml is just like use the starter of the WPF application, and it will just define the resources, and it will just define which application, which XAML file needs to run when our application starts. Okay, now let's consider the CS code, which we have not talked about. This is very interesting one. Now let's come to this CS, and we can unpin that one so that I don't want it over here. CS code. Now let's talk about this. It's an interesting one. It says that it has first of all created namespace for same name, Week8 CS, my file. And if you see here that it is creating a partial class. Interesting. We have not talked about partial class till now. We will talk about that, but let's see what is going on. So partial class main window. This is a main window that application is creating, like a class is created, and this class is inheriting from a class window, right? So there is a class called window from which this main window is inheriting from, but this class is a partial class. We'll talk about what is partial class. Right now, not talking about that. In slides I've given, and I'll talk about that. So it is creating an automatically partial class, which we don't know what is partial class, but it is extending that class from window. I hope everyone understand this much code, because we have come up from the object-oriented discussions that we have just talked about. So this partial class is basically being extended from a full class window. If you want to see the definition of this full class, you can right click on any of the document, and you can just go to the definition. You will find, okay, this is called a Windows class, which I don't want to read, but anyhow, it gives you lots of features that you can do, or that you can work in your Windows. Anyhow, if you want to look at it, but it automatically does that. Okay, and then there is a main window method that has been called over here, so that is a constructor for this class. We are creating a constructor for this main window, and inside that we have initialize component that we have not defined. So if I just right click on this initialize component and I go to the definition, yes, we have go to the base, and I want to go to the definition, same. So you see the definition. So this is initialize component, which is coming from this class main window, and this is basically we are sort of overriding that one. And if you just try to just read that a quick, so it is just basically doing what? It is resource location, and it is accessing that main window.xaml file. So it means when we run our application, actually this initialize component is running, and it is calling our XAML part, and this is running that XAML part over here. Are you getting that? So when I run this program, actually initialize component calls that one, and typically, as we said, that this app.xaml we talked about, app.xaml is giving this configuration point that we have this main window.xaml. Now this main window.xaml or main window.cs from the behind will be calling this initialize component, and then doing what? Then just trying to create that form, that XAML document that is coming from. So initialize component is that method which is basically initializing all the components, right? So method that is being run is over here, this initialize component. And again, as I say, if you want to just go to the definition, you go to the definition, and you'll find that it is just telling that system.uri, new system.uri, and it's just accessing that one. And we have got these all files over here, right? So again, it's running that one. Now if I come back to my program, to my design part, in this design part where I had created a button, now I would like you to just do one more thing. Go to the toolbox and drag and drop a label. Maybe where is the label? Drag and drop a label over here, right? And you can just adjust it anywhere you want. It will give you a good sense of everything. Now this is a label, and you see, as I add my label, you see that label is also coming over here. So now one way of changing the content, as we have done with the click me as well, is coming over here, and you say welcome to WPF, right? So welcome to WPF. I just created a label, welcome to WPF. Now this is one way of setting things, but this is not always the ideal way of setting things. There must be an ideal way of doing things. So to do the ideal way of doing things, select your control and press F4 if you do not have already properties panel open. Do you see properties panel? If you do not have properties panel on your right side, like this, where I'm scrolling my mouse, or I'm moving my mouse. So properties panel, if I close this one, so whenever you click on some of the object on the window and click on F4, like press F4 button, you will get the properties panel. Everyone got that? That's good. So now if you see here, there are certain very interesting features of it. First of all, I would like you to very much focus on name. I want to name this label something, right? So this, I want to name this label. Then I have a button. I can just click on that button. So you see properties are changed. Now properties are showing the button's properties. So properties are a dynamic panel that always give you what you have selected on the main screen, right? So the properties are the panel, a panel that gets dynamically updated with the selection on our main screen. So you see, when I'm selecting this one, my property panel is changing. Everyone can see that? Now I want you to do something. First of all, name this label. And you remember, naming is always very important, and here also very, very, very important, because we have to access these labels and everything in our code. So you just it's up to you, but a normal convention is that LBL. We just add LBL message. Now I've named it LBL message. It's just I have named it. Now can anyone see what has happened in my XAML code? You see, which was not there. It has added X:name. The label name is LBL message. Everyone understand that? So when you rename that over here, it will. And same, I think I would like to do this with the button as well. I go to the button, and again, for the button, you can write btn click, for example, right? Click me or click. Now you see that name is added over here in my XAML code as well. I hope everyone can see that the code is added to the XAML code as well. Okay, that's good. Excellent. Now if I come back to this text one, this looks very small. If you go to your text part in this properties, you'll find all these features over here. If you just go and do it, maybe 24 or something, just a prominent one. You can change the font, you can change it bold or whatever. You can just do it unbold or whatever you want. It's up to you. So this is what you can just change the text properties. All right. So you see that whatever I do in properties panel, have you noticed? All that is added to my XAML code. Are you people looking at it? Font size equal to 24, font weight bold. Now these are all HTML like XML properties that are setting up. You see, when I'm naming that one, it says XML X:name. X:name is the feature or property that gives the name of the control. Right, everyone? So now let's talk about something. I have created one button, which name is button click. I have created one label, its name is LBL message. So remember, LBL and BTN, you will quickly know that you have a button or something, or maybe you want to do something. So how many of you are at till this point ready with me? Because I will just take a quick break and then I'll just start working on it from this point onwards. Baldeep, thank you very much. Rest, I want everyone to just jump in and let me our next one. So up till now, what we have done is just we have created like we have dragged and dropped two controls over here. Now you should be familiar with very, very interesting things over here. You see that we have got a button. When I select this button, you remember I can change the type of this button, or I can change the properties of this button, not only by using this properties panel on the left, which I brought up by by pressing the F4, but also I can change its most of the properties over here as well. You see, this is the XAML part where I can change its properties, and this is the properties part, which gives me again a drag and drop sort of environment where I can change the properties of my the elements. Does that make sense to everyone? Now, so basically what's going on, that we have got now these two controls, and I was talking about now this .xaml. So we have said that this is initialized component that we have where we can work on that, and we can just do lots of things over there. So let's move back to our file. So now look at the definition initialized component method. We have seen the initialized component which is running for the first time. What is partial class? What is that partial class we talked about? Here we are getting a partial class. Now what is that partial class? First of all, so if you see partial class, VS generates a class for us from the information in the XAML file. So it's a sort of a file that is created half for our working and half for machine understanding, sort of something like that, if you understand that way. A partial class is a half an available class that we can work on that one, and there is one half part that resides with the machine. What does that happen? This is the XAML code that I want to run. This is the XAML design part that I want to run. So Visual Studio says, okay, you want to run this design, you want to run this XAML code, I will create a partial class for you. Half of its implementation is within myself. I don't want you to just work on that. It is from my side. And half of the implementation is available to you, and you can work on your half part of the application. Does that make sense? So it says, rather than make the generated class a base class and have us customize it through the derivation, VS makes it a partial class. It says, okay, don't worry about lots of things. You just write your own code. Half of implementation I've hidden from you, and I am working on that one. So as I said, that this is a partial class being created. There are lots of features that are being used from this windows, and this main window is being created. And as I told you, that this is the class which was, so rather than just redefining or writing everything from that class, so I am taking care of all those things. You do what? You just write your own code, and don't worry about this one. Make sense? So this is basically a partial class. The machine generated side is hidden. We do not see the machine generated side, and we what we see is that we have got this the part which is over there. Now if you see, double click on the main window, initialize component, it will take a look, and we'll just talk about that one, what we are talking about. And let's all take a look at the window based class. Now I'll tell you one of the way of doing one of the things. There are lots of ways of doing it. If you come to this part, design part, and double click on this button, everyone just double click on this button, you see what happens. When I double click on this button, I get a method in my partial class, that same CS, the main CS file. Does that make sense to everyone? I have done what? Again, let me tell you. What I've done is that I came over here and I've just double clicked on my button like that. So I have been transferred to something very interesting. It says BTN click. The name of my button is BTN click. Everyone remember that? BTN click underscore click. It says, okay, so there is a button click event. So every button or those components that we make, they have some events attached to them, and those events will execute on their due time. So BTN click underscore click means when I will click on that button, this method will be called. Now let me tell you something interesting. Message box dot show. Just use this one. Hello from WPF world. Welcome all. Right? Just putting our messagebox.show. Messagebox.show is a feature, or is a like a facility that we have that we can use to display the messages. Now, if you have done that, save this file and run your file. Okay, so now we have application, same like before. If I click on this, click me, you see what is going on. Hello from WPF world. Spelling is very bad. Welcome all. You are all welcome to this, and this is message box that is being generated over here. Are you appreciating? With so less efforts, we are able to create so many things, quickly. There are lots of things that we can do, and we'll be just doing that. Rashmi, yes, you realize that it's so easy. What I have done, I've done nothing extravagant. What I've done, I just went to my design part. I just went to my design part, and I double clicked on the button. It took me to my just hold on a minute. So when I double click on this button, it is taking me to a function method, the method which will be called when we click on the button, and it is just showing me that typical sort of thing, that it is just showing a message box to me. Now let me tell you something interesting. I don't want to display this message box. I want to do something else. I want to do something with label message. You know what is label message? Anyone remembers? Label message. The label that I have used in my application. You remember I've used a label in my application. So if I click on label message dot, there is a feature of content equal to, now I'm changing that. Now you have clicked me. Thanks for that. Right? Label message dot content. Now if I run my application, you will see something very interesting. I hope you understand that, and you know about that. And now we have, as I said, now we have started to jump into some some real world viewing programming. So see here, so this is welcome to WPF. This was welcome to WPF, and if I click on that one, of course it's just going out of it, and we can just handle that one as well. Now you have clicked me, thanks for that. And what has happening, when I have clicked that button, this text is changed. And why it is changed, if you see, I said that whenever someone clicks on this button, the label message, what was the label message? The label that I have used over here in my XML part should be basically doing what? Should be displaying, you have clicked me, thanks for that. I can stop that one. And if I see over here, in that design part, what I'm doing, same program, and I am just clicking on a single button, on a click of this button, sorry. So what I am doing is that I am generating something. And what you can do, you can just do that same thing again as well. So you can do different things, another message that you want to display when someone clicks on this button. So it's up to you, it's all up to you. Now you have got the power. You have got a function that has everything in it. If user clicks on that button, you can do lots of wonderful things over here. And one of the wonderful things that we are doing is that we are changing this message and we are just displaying another show box. Is that making sense to all of you? So now what is happening? This, you remember we said this CS code is the brain of our this program, this XAML. XAML is our view layer where we are creating our view, and this is our part where we are just running all those things, right? And working on that. So now a little task for the class right now. It's not a graded task, it's just for your purpose, for practice purpose. And I want every one of you to just at least come up with a slide session. This is a very easy one. I want you to just have a text box over here, and I want user to enter their name, and this welcome to WPF should be converted to welcome, for example, Payal, welcome Abhinav. So the name, whatever you have entered in the text box, should appear with this welcome to, and that name should be appearing over here. Or maybe just for the time being, because I have not told a lots of things, so just change this label to that information what user has entered. For example, Abhinav enters Abhinav. So when I click on this, click me, like, when my program is running. So again, when your program should be running, what you do? So you have a text box over here, and for example, Payal comes here and Payal enters name and clicks on this. So Payal should be displayed over here, and you can do that in the message box as well. Just a quickly, if you can just do that. This is very easy one, and I want you to just practice a bit about this toolbox. The text box, you can find out the text box. Where you can find out the text box? Here is this text box. You can just bring this text box over here. So I can just bring that over here, for example, for you. The text box is here. You can settle that as well if you want. And what happens is that you can just take this one bottom. So now you can just change all those features, as I've told you, that you can just change all the features. You can just do 24 size, or you can change the size of the text box, whatever you want to do, right? Now what you have to do, I want you people to just grab the text from this one and display it on this label. Everyone, what will be the step-by-step process for doing that? So if you are done with it, you can just write a yes in chat window, which I'm just refreshing now. So you can write a yes when you are done with that one. Okay. Welcome to WS independent content label. So why its functionality impacted with show message box? I'm not getting your question. I think, Abhinav, can you just unmute yourself? You are saying that why its functionality is disturbed by the message box?
Yeah, Professor. So initially, actually, you have used two different content. One is for button, that is the click me, and second one was the welcome message that says welcome to WPF.
Right.
Now, once you have implemented the functionality or defined the show input dialog or the message box within your click me method, then after making a click on it, we are getting obviously now you have clicked whatsoever content we have put over there. But the welcome to WPF message has been disappeared, which was an independent content or the label over our UI for the front screen.
Oh, so okay. I got your point. When you are implementing that text box sort of thing that I've given you, when you are, for example, you are entering Abhinav here and you are clicking on that one, you want to say something like that. For example, if I enter something and you are clicking on that and you say that welcome to WPF is disappearing from here. Is that right?
No, actually, suppose, Professor, you have been landed on a homepage of any website. So there must be some welcome message. Like here, welcome to WPF. You can treat it as a welcome message. That should always remain on our website. Okay, and we have a number of many options on that particular website. Like we do have here click me method. So after making a selection on this click me method, so only click me method functionality would come into play.
Okay, I got it. I got your point.
The welcome message shouldn't get disappeared from the website. That's what my
okay. I got your point. So Abhinav, you can do that. Okay, just use these. Welcome to WPF, for example. I got your point. You know what you want to say? You want to say that there must be another label which has nothing on it. For example, you're getting my point? Which has nothing on it. It's a label just over here. Listen about that. I got your point. And you will call it label welcome, for example, right? I'm just calling it label welcome. And for its contents, what I'm saying, I don't want any contents on it. There's nothing on it, right? Abhinav, you getting that? Yeah. So what I'll do is that again, I'll go to this click option. And now I won't change the message of like label message. Rather, I will change label welcome.content. Are you getting that what I'm saying? Now you see here. So you're getting, it's up to you, Abhinav. You can have thousands of labels on that. So I was just implementing one label and I was trying to change that label. You see here, there is nothing on my bottom side. And when I click on it, only this message appears. We have clicked on it, whatever messages appear. You got my point?
Yeah, Professor, but we haven't defined welcome to PDF within a click me method, but it was impacted earlier. So
Oh,
that's
no, no,
what
no, no.
my
Abhinav,
question.
it will never be impacted unless you put it over here. Unless you change it over here. Listen. I don't know where you are just losing this. Let me just tell you. You see, this is one label. I have this label, and this is label message. So if I add this label message, or if I work anything on this label message, you see, for example, right now I'm not doing anything with this label message. You understand that? I'm not doing anything with label message.
Right.
So if you are not doing anything with that, Abhinav, and I run this program, my welcome to WPF will not be affected at all with my click.
Right.
It will be affected when I will add that code. You see, I have not added that one. So welcome to PF is at the same place.
Right, Professor.
Yeah. Now what about this one? Let me just tell you. It's a very interesting question that you have. Label message. Now I have come over here and I say content, and I say by from my app, right? Now I'm playing with that one, and if you are playing with that one, of course now it will be affected. So everything that you are playing with will be affected on the click of this one. So you see, now one click will do 3 actions. You understand?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Now you see that now I have worked with that. Now it means that it should be affected because I have worked on that. So if you see welcome to WPF and I click on that one, you say now I have clicked. Okay, after this one it will change because there is a message box in between. So now it is changing.
So you mean to say, Professor, it will get impacted if we are going to use any label message or content message within our click function.
Exactly.
It's not actually independent entity or a attribute. It's actually dependent on a function.
No, not at all. Listen, because I don't know, this is not the right way of comprehending these things. Let me just tell you. With click of this button, there are multiple things over here. This is one label, this is one text box, there is one another label which is not over, like it's not
right.
hidden over. When I click on this button, this label changes, and a message box appears. Understand? Now listen about that. So if I am connecting something with the button, it will be connected with it. If I don't connect something with my button, it is not connected with it. For example, I'll put a picture over here, for example, of myself. So my picture, I don't want it to be affected by this click me. So why in the world I will just change that picture with this button? So that will become independent. So your definition of independent is not making sense in the way you come here. See here, I have these 1, 2, 3, 4 components. There is another component, right? 4 components. These 4 components are all independent, number 1, and these 4 all components might become dependent on my click option or anything, any other thing. It can be, for example, I say that whenever someone enters the text, this label should be changed, like that. You see on the website, you enter something and some control change.
Yeah, right.
So you this dependency is something that you create by yourself. It's not something that they inherit or something. You have to implement something. So now what I've been asking, so from your question, now this is very good. So now you have to do what? From the text box, you have to bring up that data into my text box, which label, which is not available over here. So what is happening? I want to do that. If I enter text 121, click me. Now this text box 121 should come over here. You understand what I'm saying? And this should not be affected.
Yeah, Professor, I'm getting.
Yeah, okay.
But earlier we hadn't defined welcome to PDF within a click function. So that's what I was asking. Why it hasn't changed?
No, it can never change if I just take out this statement from here.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
You understand?
Yeah, I got your point now. All right.
Yeah.
Thanks
so
for
now
that.
It will never be affected, of course, because I have not just taken, but it has its own independent presence over here because it's a label and it's showing something. The title of your title
exactly. So that's what I was wondering about, why it hasn't changed after making a selection on the click me button. Although both are these independent or the 2 different types of entities.
So Abhinav, should I consider you are crystal clear about this concept, because it's not.
Yeah, Professor, I got it.
Okay,
I got it.
Excellent. Okay, now how many of you have done that? What I was asking by the time I was talking to Abhinav. Okay, Baldeep, thank you, Baldeep. It was expected from you, but I won't ask you how you. Oh, Monarch, can you just Monarch, would you mind sharing your screen and show us how you are doing? Is that possible? If you don't mind.
Yeah, sir, I can share my screen.
Excellent, Monarch. Can you share your screen? And okay, I'll just okay. So now, if I click first of all, if I just enter any name, random name, John, and click me, so you see you are John, and I don't want this annoying. I'll just delete. So you are John. So you are welcome over here, right? So this is one way of doing that, and the other way can be, there are already some content in this label.welcome. So what I can do is that I can just use that one, LBL welcome plus text name content. So I don't want, so again, there is already some text, and I want that to be just concatenated together with the new text. So that is another way of doing that. Oh, I've done the bad thing, because okay, of course this is bad, because I had to do what? LBL welcome dot content, right? So this is something that I've done wrong. So now you see here, if I run that one, hopefully now it should give the right thing, whatever name, and you see DDDDFFDDD whatever. And now can someone tell me, I can more precisely write this statement? How? If you people remember,
assignment.
Yes, addition assignment. You remember addition assignment? If I use addition assignment operator, now it is more formalized. Thank you very much, Baldeep and Monarch. You have done a wonderful job. You have just explained. Now you see here, I have done what? LBL welcome dot content plus equal to text dot name. So whatever is coming over here, we just add that one to my previous. I have not removed that one. I'm sorry. I don't want this message box to appear. Right. So now this is showing me the text. I am expecting that now new people have started to understand what is going on. Now this is my C# code that is running behind my XAML file, and this C# code is doing what? This C# code is running typically what we want to just basically do here. And if you go back to your, if I go back to my XAML design XAML, right? If I come over here and you, so if you see over here, what I'm showing is that when you have just clicked on this button and this button click, and you see that it has btn click _ method called over here. So what I want to tell you, that you can change the properties from here, from there, from everywhere. You can just change them. So you can change it from here, and also if you just keep on clicking on this button, and if you come over here, you will find that here also you will be just finding this click button on its click event. Where is that click event? Where is that click event? Click mode.
So the icon, yeah, name icon. Sorry, name label. Top, yeah, and the icon which is in the extreme right.
Okay, you're talking about this one.
This one, yeah.
Oh, event handler. Okay, right. So when you see that event handler, we have got this button click over here, and we can just define that over here. But again, the most easiest way that I find always to work in that is that you just go and double click on that your XML file, and you are just directly taken into that code over here. Right. So this is one way of. Now what I am expecting from you people is that now we are now working on this application. We have got the CSS file, we have got this .xml file, and we can just work on these both of the files together. And we have got lots of things that we have to discuss. Now, if you see, my toolbox is closed now. If you just open up your toolbox, you see that there are lots of controls that we will be using. There is a button, there is a pointer, there is a checkbox, there is a radio button. And I am expecting that you people know what is the difference between the radio button and checkbox. Where there is single value selection, we always use this radio button sort of thing. And when there are multiple levels of things, we will just use that multiple selections, we use the checkbox and things like that. So there are lots of things that we'll be talking about. But first, let's see that. So partial class, as we have talked about, that partial class will be a class that is half available to us, and we are working on that. So what WPF does, instead of program class within a static main method, as Abhinav you were saying, each window defines a class with a constructor. So there is a class with a constructor. And what is that class with a constructor? If you see that this class, this main window with a constructor, there is a main window constructor which has initialized main component. Control appears as properties on that class. We get to edit our half of the partial class. The partial class extends the window base class, and it's basically extending what? The Windows base class, which is responsible for creating all these windows and all those things, right? So this basically just tell you. Okay, so now if I come here, how are we going to make something happen? As we have done that, clicking on the event is by button, your window class can subscribe. So we have got, there are lots of other options as well to access that one. As we have discussed, there are two things. One is the button which we have just dragged on our XAML part, and there is one listener class. And what is the listener class? This is our listener class for that reason, right? Which is listening for the event that we have just generated. And this is one another way of using that one as well. We could add this button dot click is equal to button click on our main as well. You can just have a look at it. That like this all main thing could have been done with, like, over here we can just add something like this dot button dot click. And so whatever is the name of the button, you can just associate anything from here as well. So this dot btn click, you see btn click, and this method. So what we can do is that we can say plus equal to button click, and I want to just attach the method to it. So plus equal to, and if you see that here, I can just use this method which I have called. So I will say that now I want to call this btn click underscore that button function over here, not with the function sign, without function sign, right? So I want to just attach this to the button click and something like that. Right? Even doesn't apply operands of type button method click. Why not? Can be applied. Anyhow, we'll just check that why it's just over there. Anyhow, so there are multiple methods of just adding few different things, and we can just work on those particular objects. Okay, so if you continue another way of, as I said, you can just do that in XAML code as well, and you can just do all those things. Now, a very, very important part that we have been overlooking till now, and that part was the, as I told you in the beginning, was this grid part which we are using. Right now we are just throwing all our components without any without any sync, without anything, and they have been coming over here. And I would like you people to just focus on few of the important things. You see that there are sort of lots of attributes that are coming over here. After that, content, you see that if I just talk about one of them, that this is button, is its name is button click, its content is click me, and its horizontal alignment is left side, and height is 31, margin is 97. So margin, I'll just let you know all of them. What does this 4 typical values means? I'll just let you know what does that mean, margin. And then vertical alignment is the top, width is equal to 91, and click, etc. So these all are the features of that one, but we are using all of them inside our grid application, right? We are doing what? We are just using that, all of that inside our grid. So there are multiple options of using this grid, and I will just tell you that grid can be used. So just let's discuss that one. So grid can be used to divide things into the columns and rows like that. It's a very interesting concept, and we can always define the rows and columns of a grid. And let me tell you how you will just do that. What I will right now do is that I will just make it a comment so that this is available for your code later on when you see the file. So this is all available in the code. I'm just making it comment. And now let's talk about, everything is commented, good. So now let's talk about the grid in general. What is a grid? So now in grid, what we can do is that we can define rows and columns. So to define rows, we say grid dot row definitions. So first of all, we define grid dot row definitions. We are defining the rows for this grid, right? How many rows I want? For example, I want 2 rows in this grid. So what I'll say is that to make every row, I'll define row definition, and minimum I can be the height. I'm saying height equal to auto. So whatever the component come, you just make your height according to that one, right? So first row, I'm saying that its height should be auto, and I'll talk about these values as well. So row definition. Second one, height equal to asterisk, and asterisk means rest of everything. So the first row will occupy the automatic, whatever component will come, it will occupy that much height, and the second row will occupy the rest of the height, whatever is available. Asterisk always means rest of everything. Keep in mind, asterisk always represents rest of everything. So this is the rows definition that I've given. Now let's talk about the column definitions, because inside that I want to create the columns. So to create columns, I will say grid column definitions, and inside that column definitions, I want to, so I have created my form effectively into 2 rows. First row, whatever component come, make your height according to that. Second row, rest of everything should be occupied by you. I want you to occupy everything over here. Now inside column definitions, I want to create maybe 2 columns again. So I will write column definition width. Now we are talking about column, so it will be width. So I'll say auto. Again, I want it to be automatic according to its components. So whenever you do auto means that you are trying it to occupy whatever component have come, you just occupy that much space. Now the other one I want to say is again the same way, asterisk, that all the rest of the space should be occupied by you. So effectively, I have created 2 rows and 2 columns, and you can create any number of rows and any number of columns to adjust or to make your components aligned or make your components work effectively. Now, how to place components inside them? This is very interesting. This is a bit different over here. If you see, let me just close that, and let me just bring you said I'm bringing this XAML code on the top. So if you want to place something inside that, for example, I want to place something called this is called a text block. So if I want to place a text block over here, I will say text block, right? And I give it a text value, the same value that from where I was just bringing up the text. So I say text block is equal to name, and I say grid dot row equal to 0. I want it to be in the 0th row. 0th row means the first row I'm talking about, right? And grid dot column equal to 0. First row, first column, I want this text block to appear, right? And we'll see that shortly. Then there is something called a text box, you can see over here, and I can create. So now right now I'm going upside down, and I am creating the components by the XAML code, right? So this is also another way of using that. So in text box, I'm not giving it a name. For example, I say grid dot row equal to 0. I want it to be in the first row, and grid dot column equal to 1. Sorry. Right? So grid dot column equal to 1. So I want it to be in the second column. You remember 0001, the same binary implementation that you can do over here. Now the last thing that I want to implement here is button. And you remember we have created a button before, but now we are creating this button by using this. So first of all, I want to give it a content, for example. And what was the content? Something that will be showed on the. So grid dot row equal to 1. I want it to be in the second row, right? And grid dot column, I want it to be in the second column, second row, second column, right? I just created this button, or maybe if I can just do that as well, you know, empty tag. I'm expecting that you people know this / means what. If you don't know, I can just explain that, but if you know, I'll just skip that for a moment. What does that mean when you are placing a / at the end of the tag, or maybe ending the tag? Anyhow, I'll talk about that, but not today. I'll just try to. So now what is happening is that let's run our application. Oh, there are some errors. I have just missed out something, or the label welcome does not. Okay, right. That's good. You know what is happening? Because in the code, I have used all these things. So for the time being, I'm just making this all comment because this is not available now, right? Main.xaml, I've commented everything out. So it is looking for those controls. It's not finding. And it says that where in the world you are bringing those label welcome. Let's see when it runs. Okay, so it shows something, but very odd. You know, the button is, this is my button, save button, which is effectively occupying everything in the second row, second column. And this is first row and first column, first row, first column name, first row, second column. There is a text box if you can see that. Are you getting that? So now I have started to get my form a bit, but again, it's looking very, very bad. This is my button. This is my text box. This is my label or text block, which I created, right? So now I want to work on that, and I want to just do something like that. For example, in the text box, for example, if I go in the text box first, and let's implement some of the properties. So I say horizontal alignment equal to left. I want it to be left aligned, right? And not only that, I want to give it a width so that it does not go so long. For example, 100. Right? Let's run that. If our text box has come under control, right? Then we have to control the button as well. Button will be still looking. Okay, so text box looks very, a bit of more natural in form, right? So now let's talk about the button. Button is doing hell bad with our UI. So now I will do horizontal alignment, maybe equal to left or right, whatever, right, I can do. And let's do a vertical alignment as well. Vertical alignment is equal to maybe bottom. Let's see what happens, what comes up. So I have just created this button. Now I have changed horizontal alignment and vertical alignment. Now let's see what comes up. Okay, it looks a bit good, but again it's still looking very, very bad. So again, what you can do is not bottom, you can do that to the top. But that's all we can just change, and we can just always work on that. No worries. It's in your hand. So everything is in your hand, and you can just control everything with your. So you see at the top, but it's coming to the left, to the right, most right. But we are not concerned right now. And again, right now, if you see that whenever I am just doing that, you see that the controls are also moving with because now I have given this grid rows and columns, so it's going on in these rows and columns form. So this button is coming over here, and now I can just adjust this button over here. Now there are a few more features that you have already seen, but I would just like you people to look at that. There is one property, is called margin. Margin is equal to, for example, I say margin is equal to 5, and I copy and paste to all controls. So we are right now working all exclusively in our XAML code. If I come over here and I implement this one, save that one, and now run this one. Let's see what has happened. Now these looks a bit more offset from the previous. It is 5 pixels from here. It was all sticking with that last one, but you see now it is maintaining a 5 pixel that. So margin, what margin does is that basically it provides us this breathing space. Now we have got some of the breathing space between these components. Why? Because I have set up this margin 5. Now if margin value can be given 4 ways. The first way is by giving this 5. 5 means implement margin on all 4 sides. You see, all 4 sides should be 5. Now if I do something like that, 5, 10. 5, 10. So what I am saying, that top and bottom should be 5, and left and right should become 10. So this represents 2 values for top and bottom, and this for left. And you see over there effect. I hope you are looking at the effect over here. Let me just show you. I hope you can see that over here. And if I change this margin from, I have changed this margin for this text block. So text block. Now let's do that for this one as well. 5, 10. You see what has happened. So left and right. So I'm sorry. The first one represents left and right values. So left and right has become 5, and the top and bottom has become 10. You see, it is showing us the 10 from the top and bottom. Right? So left, right, and top, bottom. Same goes with this button, for example. Let's do that with it. So you see that this button is also now showing 10 pixels in the yes. So top, left, bottom, right. Monarch, thank you very much. You're right. So now if we can just define these values in the four forms as well. So if I do 5, 10, 5, 10, this is the same as what I was showing 5, 10. So as Monarch has mentioned, top, left, bottom, right. This represents top, this represents left, and this represents bottom, and this represents right. So top, left, bottom, right. Right. So it just basically just represents that. So if I do that, it will just not make any effect, because this is already being done with that. So this is a margin attribute that gives us the breathing space inside the rows. That will be the breathing space inside our rows. And now this breathing space is giving us a lot of. So let me just make it left so that it is also a bit visible to us, like in the proper form. So now we have got this form. If I run this one, I will get this over here. Okay, so now I can see a form which is looking a bit more acceptable in nature, but anyhow, we can just work on that one as well, right? So I am expecting you people now to understand this grid in a greater detail. That grid has rows definitions, row definitions, and column definitions. If I want to increase the rows, what I'll do, for example, if I do a row definition and I say height equal to, for example, I give a particular height of 50, for example. Now I will have now 3 rows over here, and the one row will have exactly 50 value. And this asterisk means it will be occupying rest of the values, and this one will be first one will be automatic. Like auto means whatever contents are coming. So according to the contents, it will just keep on stretching itself. Right? So I can just give, or maybe if you want to add multiple columns over here, like same like, so you will just add column definition and you will say weight. And again, let's do the same thing. 50 pixels. I want a column of 50 pixels. So you see that I have got in grid, I have started to see a column of the 15 pixels over here. Now, there is a little task that I want you people to do now. And I will be just winding up now my session. Now you see here, I've talked about this setup margin over here. So this is basically now, as I said, left, top, right, and bottom. This is all the value. Padding I've not discussed. I'll discuss padding maybe in the coming session, next session. And now if you see here that I'll talk about these panels. First of all, let me just give you, this one. I want to give you like list slide 24. So you see that if you want to increase, I have done the same thing, auto asterisk 50. Auto means according to the content, asterisk means rest of the place, and 50 means exactly 50 pixels, right? And we can have multiple options inside that one as well. What I want you people from is that I want this one, self-study guide, and I want you to just implement that one specifically. There is something called a call span and row span, and then min height and max height, which I'm not discussing over here. So this is your today's class task, right? But again, it's not a graded one. Class task to research the above and implement in our current project. Implement in our current project. Right. So this is the task for today. And today is July 19th task, right? But again, as I said, it's not a graded one, but still, I would like you people to just work on call span, row span. Read that out. What is that? I'll definitely ask it the next time, and I'll just discuss with this with these sort of things. I'll be just discussing that. Got everyone? So today you have to just do call span and row span, and you have to implement that call span, row span, min height, max height, whatever, into this. So in essence, what you have to do is that I am asking you to just try to find out these all features. So you see that I've just added the margin. You can add the padding as well. There are lots of things, and there is a call span side of things, something in this row definition where we have to do that. So you have to just work on that right now in your lab session for today, because I will be just now stopping here, and I would like you people now to just do research on this call span, row span, and I will discuss for rest of the things. This is very important. We'll talk about the panels in this one, but I'll talk that about in our next class. So I want you to just right now do this. And yes, and the next class we'll have maybe our next submission of class task as well. I'll just give you a little task related to WPF, and I hope that you found it interesting. Isn't that interesting, WPF? And I hope, yes. So Vinny, we were just so much bored with looking at those black screens every now and then. Now we have got this something interesting, and we can just work on that one, right? So I will be just stopping here. If someone has a question related to our today's discussion, they can just go ahead, or I will just wind it up over here, and then we'll discuss tomorrow about that one. Any questions thus far? Any questions thus far?
So can you just brief that once again about the grid?
Yeah. Okay, great. So I think it was Monarch. You were okay, anyhow. So
yes, sir.
You are talking about this third row introduction or overall the grid introduction you're talking about?
Yeah, overall row, column, and the controls and the attributes and properties just we have added just briefly.
So you see, so grid is something that was already there in our program. We can divide our grid in XAML. We can divide our grid into rows and columns. Number one, to divide into rows, we use grid.row definitions, which is a main tag, main tag. Inside that, we define our rows. So we have got 3 rows over here. In this particular syntax, I have just defined 3 rows. First row is of auto. Height means whatever component will come, it will keep on increasing its height. So if I add another component in row 1, for example, if I just say, for example, what is in this first row, we have got name, and let me just add one more with some value. So I'm just adding another text box, and I'm saying, for example, father name or whatever. I just want to just show you something over here. Right now, it will be just overlapped or something, and I can tell you that how you. So what is happening is, or maybe just rather than doing that, let me tell you another interesting thing that we can do. That let's define its height over here. Height, and height I am giving it 300, for example. You see, I'm right now trying to tell you this grid work. You see, when I have done 300 height of my name, you see label, what has happened? You see, Manoj? Auto means whatever is the height of the components, you have to adjust. The row, first row had to adjust according to that. You understand? This is auto. Now,
yes, sir.
And the second one is the asterisk. You see, asterisk is the rest of the file. And if you see the third row is 50. So third row will never change. But you see, second row has changed. And why it has changed? Because second row is being asked to occupy whatever is available, all available, everything available. So now if I just change it back, and I don't want its height, so I would just wanted to show you this interesting fact over it. So you see that now my row is go back to, so row is auto. In the same way, we can just define the columns also, which is auto star and 50. Same thing I've done. The middle one will be rest of the everything. This will be 50 pixel. This will be auto. And if I keep on increasing something, if I keep on the width of increasing width of any component, for example, I just add it. You see my second column and first column, they are adjusting according to my component, whatever component I'm just using that. So column and rows are stretching. So the middle one will be stretched. Now to put elements manually in XAML, what we do is that we define grid.row and grid.column. So 0 represents this first row, first column, 0 1 first row, second column, 1 0 the second row, first column, 1 1 first second row, second column. So if you see here that I have placed my button into 1 1. If I take it to 0 1, or maybe no 1 0, if I can just take it to 1 0, where this button will switch to. You see, button has switched over here. So Manoj, it's very easy to just move your components over and there, here and there. You see, now it has come to this one part.
Yes, sir.
Right. So this is great. And then if you talk about the attributes is just, you can just, as I have added this margin attribute, and you know that these all attributes are also available in the properties panel. If you just talk about the properties panel over here, it has got all those things over here. Text I can change, its appearance. There is appearance, opacity. I want it to be just maybe 20% of the opacity. So my button will be, a very half a visible, you see. So opacity can be changed, visibility, you can do it yes or no. Sometimes you will hide some buttons and things like that. So these all properties can be set over here as well. So this is not a big deal. But what I was telling you, that in XAML also you can just implement some of the properties like that. Right, Monad? I hope that
yes,
gives
sir.
you a question.
Yes, sir.
Okay, any other question? Because I am just about to wind it up. If no question, you can just write no question, or you can give a bye note, and you can just leave the class. Everyone, thank you very much for joining in. And Baldeep, I hope you enjoyed today's lecture, and I hope you, or maybe if you are already familiar with that, that's very good. If you are not, and those who have interacted for the first time, they will definitely enjoy that if they have not worked in Visual Basic or something. Of course, if this is the first introduction. Anyhow, thank you very much. And yes, this is the exit note from everyone. I want everyone to put in the exit note. I'll be happy to have an exit note from everyone. Thank you very much, and have a good day, everyone.